Welcome to Dodgers Dogs. As part of the Dodgers Daily Network, Casey Porter here. So glad you decided to tune in. Hey, after game one, we said no panic whatsoever. The Dodgers still, the one theme that we had coming in, and the receipts are there, was that in every single game going forward, the Dodgers were going to have the advantage in the pitching game. And yes, Kevin Gausman was good, but the one thing that we said, the difference between Gausman and Yamamoto, and it turned out to be absolutely correct, and we weren't reinventing the wheel. This was a pretty obvious thing, was that even if Kevin Gausman is very good and he does a good job of neutralizing the Dodgers offense, which sometimes isn't that hard. The Dodgers still aren't playing great offense, still playing just enough complementary offense to complement the incredible pitching from Yoshinobu Yamamoto, that the difference was Yamamoto will be able to last longer into the game than Gausman should be able to. And I'll just say this, if I was John Schneider, I would have sent Gausman out for the seventh inning every day and twice on Sundays. I don't think there's any debate about that. But then I also will say that's also why, how as much as we complain and gripe and moan about analytics, sometimes that's why the analytics are correct. If you throw another guy out there, the bullpen, although for Toronto, on a surface level statistical perspective, isn't all that great, still that seventh inning was uncharted waters. Even though the pitch count was down, advanced analytics, I think some people might suggest that it's more about exposure than it is as far as pitch count. And you're in the part of the Dodgers lineup to where those guys have a lot of boom and bust. Now, Will Smith is a good bat to ball, but you have guys that can do damage against you. And I just thought that was the cat and mouse games that we're going to get into in this show, in this series, have been incredible. I firmly think just whenever I watch Toronto play, whenever as a fan, I think, damn, what do we need to do to beat these guys? The amount of pressure that I feel as a fan that the other team's putting on my team to win. I'm firmly in the camp that Toronto is the second best team in Major League Baseball, and I've just come to that conclusion. I think they're better than the Phillies. I think they're squarely better than the Brewers, and they're better than anybody else in the National League. And I think the fact of how they went through the American League, they did not even have their pitching set up for games 1 and game 2 against Seattle. Still came back after getting down 0-2, won that series. Squarely the best team in the American League. I think they're better than Philadelphia. So I think you have the two best teams. So I say that to say the cat and mouse games in this series that we're going to get into in depth in this show have been absolutely fantastic. They have been, if you love the games inside the games, the nuances, the little things that turn into big things, this is maybe the most fascinating series that I can remember in a long time for the Dodgers, because there's a lot of Dodgers strengths that are also Toronto strengths. And it's like, okay, will LA strength versus Toronto strength, who's going to win? And so far, Toronto's 1-1, Los Angeles has 1-1. And then there's, okay, well, the Dodgers have this weakness, Toronto has this weakness. Well, who can hide their weakness the most? Well, Toronto, game 1, LA, game 2. So one of the games underneath the games, inside the games, the cat and mouse last night that I thought was fantastic, that just high drama, was Kevin Gausman. He throws that four-seam. Hey, give Gausman a ton of credit. He does a good job. He locates. He throws the splitter. And the difference between Gausman and I think Savage is Gausman tunnels his splitter off the low fastball, and so it makes it harder to lay off of because he carries that low fastball so well. So Savage, if you noticed, he tunneled his splitter off the high fastball. And so the high fastball is easier to see. That's also why it's harder for hitters to lay off the high fastball, because you see it so well, right? It's closer to your eye level. Any pitch that's closer to your eye level, at least from a perception perspective, it feels like you see that pitch better. So the Dodgers were going to be able to see that splitter tunneled off the high fastball of Savage a lot better than they were going to be able to see the low fastball from Kevin Gausman, where he carried the bottom of the zone. Carry means you have so many RPMs on it that instead of the ball dropping like you think it's going to, it actually carries its line better. and it stays to the bottom of the zone. So a fastball that's tunneled, a splitter that's tunneled off the bottom of the zone is much, much, much more difficult to lay off than a splitter that is tunneled off the top, which is why Gausman's a harder layoff, which is why you saw the Dodgers chase it last night more and why it was a more difficult matchup. And then also another thing that Gausman had, the difference between Gausman and Yasavage is Gausman's four seam acts like a two seam. So where Yasavage is trying to ride the top of the zone, the Dodgers have seen that a million times. Tyler Glasnow does. I mean, most of the Dodgers pitchers do that. That's just this generation of pitching. You throw a high fastball that has big carry to the top of the zone. You get above the uppercut swings of this generation. Then you tunnel either a curveball or some type of off speed, in Yasavage's case, a splitter off of that. And that is literally the modern day pitcher there. So that was a little bit more of a familiar matchup, even though in a weird way, the Dodgers had never seen Yasavage. The fact that he is so classic in the way that he sets up, I think actually helped the Dodgers lay off the splitter more. So when you're able to tunnel the splitter off the low fastball, and then the biggest difference to me was that Gausman's fastball turns right. So yes, it's labeled as a four seam. Fine, whatever. But it actually acts as a two seam because it turns right. And so late movement does a couple of things. First of all, the closer that a pitch gets to a hitter, the sooner that the further out front they have to hit a ball. So it's called perceived velocity. The further inside a pitch is, the faster, the less reaction time a hitter has, because the sooner they have to swing. So if you're able to start a fastball right down the middle and then move it to the inner half, a hitter is going to time a fastball down the middle and then be late on that pitch inside. Plus, they're not able to keep their hands inside of it. So I give all of that context to say the cat and mouse in the Will Smith at bat was Gausman was throwing that four seam that was riding in on the hands of righties, and Will Smith is one of the best hitters in baseball at having alligator arms. And what do I mean by alligator arms? I mean whenever you try to pitch Will Smith in, he's able to pull his hands inside, stay inside the baseball, and pull that pitch even though you're trying to bust him in. So the alligator arms of Will Smith versus the four seam that had two seam right turn tendencies of Kevin Gausman was fascinating theater, and Will Smith got to him. And then Max Muncy just did what Max Muncy does. And what Max Muncy did was he stayed on the ball. I think Shohei Ohtani can really take a lesson out of what Max Muncy did there, and that is that Max Muncy really stayed on that ball that he took the other way. Dodgers took the lead, and hey, in round one, the Blue Jays, they did what they do, okay? They laid off of pitches at an elite rate, and then once they forced Blake Snell to come into the zone, then they were very good at hitting the ball inside the zone. And we're going to get into all that here in a minute. So what was the difference between game one and game two? Let's get to it right here. I kind of want to show you some of the reasons why. Let's actually get to, let me go ahead and screen capture that there. Get on over to some of my graphics that I have here. So in game one, here's the difference between game one and game two. Let me give it to you in a nutshell. Blake Snell was Blake Snell, and Blake Snell tried to get chase, and he tried to get swing and miss. That is a bad game plan against the Toronto Blue Jays, because two things they don't do: they don't chase the zone, and they don't swing and miss. And so while Snell was getting out of jams early, he was piling up a pitch count, he was getting frustrated. This was not Blake Snell being off. This was not Blake Snell not being effective. This was squarely Blake Snell having a game plan that suited better for what Toronto does. And the cat and mouse was, is Blake Snell going to do what he does better, or are the Toronto hitters going to do what they do better? And Toronto won that. So kind of what I'm saying is, of all of the fastballs that Blake Snell threw in zone, the Blue Jays hit 92% of them, okay? They only swung at the fastball 24% outside the zone. They only swung at his curveball 9%. So what Blake Snell needs is he needs the opposing hitters to swing and miss on the curveballs that are out of zone, okay? And the changeups, they didn't swing at either. In zone contact, the fastball was 92%. And then whenever they did swing in the zone, they made 80% contact on his changeup. And then here's the big one, 100% contact rate on curveballs in the zone. So 9%, they only chased the curveball 9%. They hit every one of them that he threw in the zone. They hit 92% of his fastballs and 80% of his changeups. So squarely, they did not, you can look right here, they did not chase at all. And then once they forced Blake Snell in the zone, they hit his ass. So they beat Blake Snell at his game. And so the question always is, all right, so as a pitcher, do you concentrate on what you do and just try to execute what you do and let the chips fall? Or do you pitch to a game plan that is best suited for what the other team doesn't do? Well, it's obvious that Blake Snell chose a game plan that, hey, I'm going to go out and be Blake Snell. I think I'm better at what I do versus what Toronto does well, and he lost. So inevitably, Blake Snell is going to have to make an adjustment next time he pitches, and he is going to have to do what Yoshinobu Yamamoto did, and that is throw strikes. Actually try to get Toronto out inside the strike zone. Don't try to trick them. Don't try to get them to swing and miss. Don't try to get them to chase. Actually try to get Toronto to hit the freaking ball. Okay, so the concept here is Blake Snell's throwing strike to ball concepts, meaning he's making the pitch look like a strike, breaking it out of the zone, and then Toronto's not swinging at it. He's getting behind the count. Then they're hitting hittable pitches. The difference between him and Yamamoto is Yamamoto used movement, but not only did he use movement, he threw strikes with his movement. So he threw his splitter the most, so he was unpredictable, okay? And to be honest with you, I mean, it was splitter four seam for the most part. But if you look what he did here, okay, 50% in zone, which for a splitter is fantastic, but 59% of the time that his splitter was in the zone, he didn't like try to make the perfect splitter. He just tried to throw a good pitch that was in the strike zone. And hey, good luck to you, Toronto. If you can hit a splitter in the strike zone, power to you. So Toronto did hit the splitter. They made 70% contact in zone off of his splitter, but yet only had an 88 mile an hour average exit velo, just a 32% whiff rate. And here's the big one, just 7 foul balls. So the difference between Yamamoto and Snell, Yamamoto actually made them swing the bat he tried to pitch to contact versus Blake Snell tried to pitch to swing and miss, which sounds counterintuitive because the Toronto Blue Jays actually have an elite bat-to-ball rate. They put the ball in play at an elite rate. We saw that against Blake Snell. So you'd say, well, why in the hell would you want to pitch to contact if the other team has elite bat-to-ball skills? Well, here's why. Because he threw 5 first pitch outs. He threw 8 2-pitch outs. He threw 4 3-pitch outs. He threw 5 or 6 more 4-pitch outs. So if you are just using the movement to change the effective velocity, the perceived velocity that we talked about earlier, if you start a pitch on a certain line and you move it inside, that's making the hitter late. If you start a pitch on a certain line and move it outside, that's making them early. So whenever you're making a hitter late or early and you're forcing them to swing because the ball is in the strike zone, then what you're doing is you are forcing weak contact. And for a team that loves to swing and a team with elite bat-to-ball skills that is going to hit it once they swing, you're going to get a lot of first pitch outs. And what a lot of first pitch outs, a lot of 2-pitch outs, a lot of 3-pitch outs, between first pitch outs, 2-pitch outs, and 3-pitch outs, 17 times. Plus just 6 foul balls on his four seam, just 7 foul balls on the splitter. Okay. One of the big things that Toronto did to Blake Snell is that they fouled off 1 million pitches. So again, by not trying to be perfect, by just trying to throw good pitches with movement in the zone, pitching backwards and changing and moving the ball off its line, changing speeds, Yoshinobu Yamamoto used the aggressiveness of the Toronto Blue Jays against them. He got them to put the ball in play. and then he got a lot of quick outs, 56% end zone four seam. Usually the league average is about 60. This 56% is right at the sweet spot for Yoshinobu Yamamoto, because that means he's throwing enough strikes to not get behind in the count, but he's not throwing so many strikes that the opposing hitters can just sit dead red and just nail him, right? So out of zone swing percentage, 53%, which just goes to show you right there that he was actually using his fastball as deception. Like, oh, wow, he just threw a fastball off the splitter. So when you throw that splitter, then the fastball, what you're doing is you're changing the timing of hitters. And now whenever they're having to face the speed of a splitter, that 97, 98 mile-an-hour fastball, especially if it's located a couple of inches off the plate, it looks like it's 102, 103 at that point. So he changed the perceived velocity of the Toronto hitters by moving the ball off the plane while keeping it in the strike zone. Then he changed the perceived velocity of the Toronto hitters by actually changing speeds and pitching backwards, by setting the speed timing in the Toronto head on the splitter. So they had to sit splitter, right? And they had to sit the splitter timing, and then he used that four seam to look a lot faster off the splitter timing to get 53% out of zone swing, 67% in zone. And when your timing's off, whenever you do hit the ball, it's going to be weak contact, of which he got over and over and over last night. And because of that, he retired the last 20 hitters. So let me reiterate this. The difference between Yoshinobu Yamamoto and Blake Snell is Blake Snell literally tried to get Toronto to chase the zone, swing and miss. They didn't. They got him behind in the count. Then whenever he got behind the count, he had to come in with something hittable. And when he did that, the Blue Jays beat him at that game. They hit him. Versus Yoshinobu Yamamoto, hey, here's strike one. Hey, here's strike two. And hey, it's not going to be an unbelievable pitch, but it's going to have movement, and I'm going to change speeds, and we're going to see what you do and see how you react to that. And Toronto was not able to do it. And whenever you're making as many first pitch outs as the thing about the first pitch outs here, let me flip this over. When you're making this many quick outs, what happens is it feels like, let's say he's the pitcher for the Dodgers. When your pitcher's making this many quick outs, it feels like you're hitting the entire game. So from about the third inning on, as a fan, did it not feel like the Dodgers were hitting the entire time? And eventually, as it feels like you're hitting the entire time, you just kind of feel like inevitably it's kind of like a run game. Think about a run game in football. The great running backs, it's like early on in the game, they're getting 2 to 3 yards, and you're like, okay, well, we're not doing a whole lot here. And then the defense is playing great. And then you sit there and think, well, eventually we're going to bust one right here. That great running back is going to bust one, and we're going to hit a big one on him. That's exactly what happened last night. Think of that running back. By about the time you get the other team frustrated, you get them worn down, you get them just kind of mentally beat down and beat, that's when you break off a couple of big runs. That's when you take the game from maybe a one-score game at 7 points to a 3-score game at 21 points. That's whenever they're completely out of their game plan, and that's whenever you don't let them off the hook. You continue to throw strikes. You don't turn the ball over. That would be the equivalent in football. And you just make the game boring, and you ride the entire thing to the finish line. That's what Yoshinobu Yamamoto did. Hey, it all sounds great, but it's all about the execution part of it. But I will say, more than anything, after the Dodgers saw what the Blue Jays were able to do to the elite stuff of Blake Snell, how they were able to not swing at pitches out of the zone, then hit the pitches that were in the zone. The Dodgers did it great. This is what they always do. They respect it. So this is why we've been so adamant on how good the Blue Jays are, is because you can't be arrogant like this. You can't just say, oh, screw it. Well, they just got lucky, right? Oh, well, they won't do that you can't do that. You have to acknowledge the fact, no, the Blue Jays actually are really good at this. And if we don't pivot our game plan, we're going to get our asses kicked. So we've got to do something different, right? I mean, if we're running zone over the right side, well, at least at some point, run it over the left side or throw the ball, do something different. So give Mark Prior, give the Dodgers a ton of credit. They completely pivoted their game plan from chase and swing and miss to movement, change speeds, actually pitch to contact, and by movement and changing speeds, pitching to weak contact, and it worked. So round one to Toronto, they did what they did better than Blake Snell did what he did. Round two to the Dodgers, Yoshinobu Yamamoto did what he did better than the Toronto offense did. And so the next thing that I want to go over too is that brings us to game three. Okay. So game three, let's look at this. It's going to be Tyler Glass now, right? And then game four, Yoshinobu Yamamoto. So the cat and mouse game now of this series turns to how do they hit against velocity? Well, here you go right here. Actually pretty good. Okay. Toronto hits pretty good against velocity. Here you can see this is, and when I say velocity, that's 95 miles an hour and above. So we set the bar of high velocity at 95 mile an hour, 95 mile an hour and above. So how do the Toronto Blue Jays do against velocity? Well, they strike out more. Their K percentage is up to 5 to 6%. They don't hit as many home runs by a substantial amount. So their OPS on base plus slugging is down 60 to 80%. George Springer's slugging's down. Alejandro Kirk, he actually does better against velo. So you got to watch. I think a key matchup I think you'll see in game three is the Dodgers will not throw a lot of high velo to Alejandro Kirk. And if they do throw high velo to Alejandro Kirk, it will not be in places to where he can elevate the ball and do damage. Dalton Varsho, not very good against as far as hitting the ball in terms of gathering hits, but he is good in terms of power. So the game plan, high velo against Dalton Varsho, okay, is that if you just locate, you don't even have to move your fastball. If you just locate to spots in the zone where Dalton Varsho can't elevate the ball, that's going to be a good game plan for the Dodgers. So look for Alejandro Kirk and Dalton Varsho to get pitches in the zone that should throw strikes to him, but not in positions to where they can elevate the ball and get it in the air and do damage. Should be aggressive against Ernie Clement. You can see against velo, which is 95 miles an hour and above. OPS on base plus slugging, 111 points down. Addison Barger is really way down against 95 mile an hour and below. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, OPS, 887 points up, but the K percentage is 14% higher. So I think you're going to see the Dodgers be very aggressive against Clement and Barger. I think they're going to throw Isaiah Kiner-Falefa up in the zone. I think they're going to throw Alejandro Kirk and Dalton Varsho below the zone. And then I think when you're talking about Bo Bichette, Nathan Lucas, Vlad Guerrero Jr., I think those are guys where there's going to be just good back and forth, good cat and mouse. There's going to be some of all the above, and then whoever wins those cat and mouses will win those matchups. So you can see right here, I mean, this is them. Let me actually put up the original file here so you can see what the actual slugging percentage here, and then let me increase that so you can see it. Slugging percentage for Bo Bichette. This is against velo 95 and above, almost 400. 413 for Springer. Nathan Lucas, 389. Vlad Guerrero Jr., 407. Alejandro Kirk, here's what I'm talking about, 439. And look at the home runs right here for Vlad Jr., Alejandro Kirk, Dalton Varsho, George Springer. So here's the key for Tyler Glass now. He's got to establish his fastball. He can't pitch away from his fastball. He can't pitch scared. But can he throw his fastball to George Springer, Vlad Jr., Alejandro Kirk, and Dalton Varsho without getting ambushed for home runs? That literally is the cat and mouse of this game for coming up. As you see the difference, if you do that and you throw it to spots in the zone, here's the cat and mouse. If you miss your location, the ball's going to leave the yard. We see that right here with home runs. We see that with the slugging percentage and the on-base percentage. But if you do throw your fastball to spots that are not that are to this parts of the zone that hitters can't do damage, Bo Bichette right here. Let me actually reduce that so you can see the whole thing. Bo Bichette has a 10% higher strikeout rate against velo 95 or above, 2% higher for Vlad Guerrero Jr., 21% higher for Alejandro Kirk. So Alejandro Kirk squarely is boom or bust against high velo. 8% higher for Dalton Varsho, so he is boom or bust against high velo. Ernie Clement, 4% higher, 14% for Isaiah Kiner Kalefa. So throw it to the top of the zone for Kalefa, throw it to the bottom of the zone to Kirk and Varsho. Be careful to Bo Bichette and Vlad Jr. with your fastball. Pitch them backwards, and if you can do all that, and then also pitch to contact just like Yoshinobu Yamamoto did, that is the game plan there. So that's how I broke that down. Hey, Chuck Huddleston, oh my goodness, what a unbelievable a super chat we have here. Thank you so much, Chuck. You are just absolutely one of the greatest Dodgers dogs out there, and one of the most awesome baseball minds I have ever talked to. I always love it whenever I get a chance to talk with Chuck Huddleston. 1999 super chat. Chuck, you are a rock star. In support of Dodgers Daily and the Dodgers Dogs, an awesome super chat. So I know I've said a lot here. I've rambled on. But again, Blake Snell, let's sum this up, what I've gone over before I get into the chat. And before I just put in the link to come join the show, if you would like to. I would love to have as many guests that want to come on here. It will be audio only for tonight. And so come join the chat. But to sum up what I went over, Blake Snell tried to get Chase and swing and miss. He was unsuccessful with that. Then once he came in the zone, the Blue Jays nailed him. We have Bruce. We'll get to Bruce here in just a second. Yamamoto did a great job of moving the ball, changing speeds while being in the zone, creating weak contact. He retired the last 20 hitters. And for Tyler Glasnow, there are specific matchups that he has to be very aggressive with the fastball, keep the fastball up to Kiner Kalefa, keep it down to Varsho and Kirk, and then pitch backwards and be very good against Bichette, Springer, and Vlad Jr. So that's where we're at right now. And on the line right now, we have one Mr. Rockstar, Bruce Davis. Bruce, what's up, man?
Hey, how's it going, Coach? So I've been listening. I didn't get to see the game one. I watched replays and stuff. I heard, but I think that we need our pitchers this time, and obviously coming back to LA probably is, it's a good thing. But we need to in the early innings, man. We need our pitchers to try to get through without throwing so many pitches, because in 2 games they made Blake Snell and Yamamoto, literally pitch a lot of pitches. We can't have them going out in the first inning throwing 25 pitches. We got to try to get that down. I don't know exactly what a good count would be. Maybe 20, 15 maybe, 15, 20. I don't know. But that I just hope that we can, figure that out. And also, you guys, the Blue Jays just don't swing like some of the things. They're not just swinging at here and there, taking, they're, like obviously we walked a couple guys yesterday. All right, so what? I wanted to ask you your thought on, okay, you're saying pitch backwards or whatever to Vlad Guerrero and Bichette and some of these guys. What about just like throwing up high heaters or just throwing that, I don't know. Would you be okay with them throwing cutters to guys like that, to big power bats?
I think they need to do a little bit of everything, but I'll say this, Bruce. Let me answer a question by asking a question. If you hang a cutter, okay, what does a cutter turn into?
It slides.
But if you throw a bad cutter and you hang a cutter, it turns into.
It's gonna bounce off and it's gonna go. I get. Okay, yeah, I get it. So we could the cat. Obviously, Will Smith could miss it and the ball could literally go into the.
So I just think to Bo Bichette, whenever you look, let me flip this back over so our viewers can see. I just think with Bo Bichette, with Vlad Guerrero Jr., Alejandro Kirk, Dalton Varsho, guys that have shown to hit a lot of home runs and have great slug against high velo, okay? Those are guys that you cannot afford to hang a slider too, because if you're throwing a cutter, if you're throwing a cutter off a high 95 mile an hour fastball, then basically that cutter just becomes a bad fastball. Those guys aren't going to miss that, and you're not going to get that ball back. So I just don't think you can throw anything. I just don't think you can throw anything to those guys that could potentially go to their wheelhouse that could end up over the fence and for home runs. I think you got to stay away from that. So I think you got to pitch them backwards. And whenever you do throw them high velo with your fastball, I think Tyler Glasnow needs to be very good with his location.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. The location, and he's been doing really good. I'm the first one here to again. This is like the second time. I wasn't a fan of Rojas when we traded for him. I wasn't a fan of Glasnow, and I've had people tell me, "Oh, he's not going to do nothing. You can't trust him." Well, I'll tell you something. I trust the guy, and I am wrong about Glasnow. The guy has been lost out. He's we had a little bit of trouble here and there, but who doesn't? What pitcher doesn't have trouble? I mean, every we play, it isn't our pitchers that have trouble. Guys, yesterday, Yamamoto 2 times. He got out of a basically first and third on that they could have scored. All they needed was a hit to the outfield, and George Springer would have scored. So, I'm really proud of Yamamoto, what he's done. But I hope that you're right. I hope that Glasnow can continue this because, look, Snell, that guy's been nothing but lights out. Yes. Him and Glasnow literally are our two freshest, besides having Sheehan that hadn't played in a while. But literally, those two guys are our 2 starters that did not play a majority of the season. So they should be fresh for the October World Series run. That's just my opinion.
I agree. Hey, anything else, Bruce? Awesome job, dude.
Oh, man. Thanks a lot, Coach. Glad to see you back. Oh yeah. I did want to say to you, so we got 3 games, right, in that's upcoming. They do the 2-3-2, right?
Yes.
So I would love to see 3 games us winning. I just believe, I don't think you can literally, I'm not saying that it's not going to be done. I'm just saying logically, I don't think that we're winning 3 games. It's possible we're going to be going back. Well, my wife says, well, you should stop. You root for your team, that they're not going to lose. That's literally what she told me yesterday. She stopped me in my tracks yesterday, Coach. And what can I say? She's right. Go Dodgers.
Fantastic. It's a great day to be a Dodger. Bruce Davis, you are an absolute rock star. Thank you so much for that wonderful check in there. Again, Chuck, thank you so much for that incredible super chat. What an awesome deal. And wow, what a great crowd we have. What a great game it was last night. History man, thank you so much for joining. I agree with you. Here's another aspect of this. The Dodgers offense has done just enough to complement the pitching. The Yamamoto's held them down long enough to where the Dodgers just could get a couple of big swings. And once the Dodgers got a couple of big swings, you really saw kind of Toronto. You saw really the balloon. That look on Milwaukee's face where you looked in their dugout and they just looked like, what the hell do we do? I mean, I just don't see anything we can do to win here. That was really the first time in the 2 games, once you got the 5-1 lead, you could just see it in Toronto's dugout, in their mannerisms. Hey, they're a very confident team. They handle themselves with confidence. You could see the bubble burst. And so I think the Dodgers did a great job of doing that. Yes, history, man. Let's say the Dodgers win the next 3 and they win in 5. This has been an absolutely, if you're a baseball fan, like if you understand baseball, if you understand the intricacies, the cat and mouse games, the games inside the games, the pitcher versus hitters, the matchup versus matchup, the fastball versus fastball hitter, this kind of, if you understand all the little things and all the advantages, the plus and minuses of the Blue Jays versus the plus and minuses of the Dodgers, this is an incredible series. I don't care if the Dodgers do win the next 3, which would be a minor miracle if they did. Anybody beating Toronto 3 games in a row, boy, that's a damn hard task because they are very freaking good. Okay? So, I mean, even if that did happen by some chance, still, this has been, these first 2 games haven't been good. If you're a baseball fan, they have been absolutely incredible. Not just the theater, but just the cat and mouse games. Hey, sometimes Toronto's winning. Hey, sometimes, it's kind of like when you blitz in football. Some on 3rd and on 7. Sometimes you get home, then sometimes you leave your corner in man-to-man coverage and they hit a deep slant and it goes to the house, right? And what makes it fun is sometimes the defense wins, sometimes the offense wins. So sometimes Toronto's winning, sometimes the Dodgers are winning. The series is even 1-1. So from all of those aspects, this has been just incredible to watch for somebody like me that even above my Dodger fandom, I just love baseball. I just love to watch the game of baseball played the way that it's supposed to be played, and that's what you're getting. So if you're not happy with just the baseball aspect of this, I just got to say, you're probably not a big baseball fan. It has been absolutely awesome. So it's been so fun to watch. We have a tremendous crowd on TikTok. We have a great crowd on Facebook and also X, and obviously a great crowd on YouTube. Hey, the real 005, thank you so much for joining. 3 MVPs in the top of the lineup for the Dodgers. History man, 0828. I agree. If the offense gets going, this series will be over quick. Hey, Chuck said Gossman's okay. The Dodgers stopped looking for a splitter and started sitting on the fastball. Yes, they did. And not just that, they like Will Smith did, they started adjusting to the fastball that moved in on their hands, started bringing their hands inside on that pitch, and started doing a very good job with it. Bob Student 10 says, please sit Pajes. That was really fun for me to see Justin Dean, Big Papa, go run down and catch that ball. Again, Alex Call, if you look let me actually bring up, so that brings me into, if I can find the Dodgers, I may have actually typed over that. Let me type this in, and let's get to that. That's a great point. So if I can get this to actually type, give me 1 second here. This brings up the topic, should Andy Pajes, of course, he got the hit the other night, and so if he's in, we need to root for him, obviously, right? So let's kind of look at this, and let's evaluate this, and let's kind of take a peek at it. So here are the postseason statistics for the Dodgers at this point. Right here, look at this. 7, of course, it's 3 hits in 4 bats. I get it. But 3 hits and 4 bats, I mean, literally as a player, the only thing you can do is take advantage of the opportunities that you've been given. That Alex Call definitely has done that. So I think, Alex Call is probably a better left fielder than Kike Hernandez. And then I think probably Kike Hernandez and Andy Pajes are close to a push in center field. I don't think Andy Pajes is significantly better than Kike Hernandez in the outfield. And then also we see Justin Dean comes in if you get a lead anyways. So I think the overall aspect of it, 750 batting average, 3 out of 4. And not just that, almost a 900 on base percentage and an OPS of 1607 because of those 3 hits. He also has 2 walks as well, and he scored a run. So I think if you did replace Andy Pajes, I think you would be well justified. But hey, whatever the Dodgers decide to do, we'll ride with it. We'll keep trying to win. But I think that guy has to be Alex Call against, I think it's going to be Max Scherzer. They said that's going to throw. We'll get into actually Max Scherzer and his stuff on tomorrow's show. But I think it would be Alex Call in left field. It would be Kike Hernandez in center field, and that's how you would go. So I don't have a problem either way. Bob Student 10. Andy Pajes did get the hit the other night. But again, he just is not hitting the ball. So, and he's not slugging the ball. And here's the biggest deal about Andy Pajes. Let me show you the biggest problem to me with Andy Pajes right now, right here. So he's not hitting the ball, okay? He has an 0.93 average, okay? But then again, he has 0 walks, 0 base on balls, 11 strikeouts. He's chasing pitches he shouldn't be chasing. Absolutely no slug whatsoever. One of his hits was a double, but still almost no slug whatsoever. OPS of 249. So there's not like anything in his offensive game to where you go, like earlier, even whenever he wasn't getting hits, you'd go, okay, well, he's drawing some walks, right? Well, he's getting on base. He's scoring some runs. We can handle that, at least from the bottom of our lineup. He's not even drawing walks. He's not even getting on base. On-base percentage for Andy Pajes of just 133. And then when you have a guy like Alex Call that's already drawn a couple of walks and only 4 at-bats, 4 official total at-bats, actually plate appearances. It doesn't show plate appearances in total, but you know, he has 3 out of 4 hits and 2 walks. You know, hey, if you chose to pivot with that, I don't think anybody could have an argument with that. History man 0828. Smith might be getting going. Let's hope. We need Muncy to continue to be hot. We need Teo to swing at the right freaking pitches. It's like that splitter. Teo's just giving into it. And again, hey, Teo's that guy. 1 second you're pissed at him. You're like, dude, your baseball IQ is like, what the hell, right? That's 1 second with Teo. Then the next second you're like, oh, we love Teo. Teo's the great, you know, that's Teo. I mean, I've learned that Teo's going to be that roller coaster. We love him, we hate him, we love him, we hate him. But I'll tell you this, the moments where we hate him, and hate him's way too big of a word. Let's say frustrated with him. Those moments are way fewer than the moments that we love him. So Teo needs to swing at the right pitches. And then, yeah, hopefully Will Smith gets going. You got to get, let me throw this back to you. Here's a big part of this offense. I mean, Shohei Ohtani, we covered the other day, other than game 4 of the NLCS, he has been terrible offensively. Not bad. He's been terrible offensively other than game 4. And then right here, Freddie Freeman. Got to get Shohei and Freddie going. If we don't, I mean, we've seen, hey, we can win even against the Toronto Blue Jays without Shohei and without Freddie Freeman getting going. But, man, the margins are slim. It's going to be nerve-wracking. It's going to be very close. But if Freddie Freeman and Shohei Ohtani get going, the Dodgers can give themselves some breathing room in this series, I think. That's my opinion, at least. Hey, history man, 0828. Yeah, Smith might be getting going. Chuck Huddleston, we need Glasnow to have his good stuff and trust in the strike zone. Yes. Throw the ball to spot. You don't even have to throw great strikes. Just throw the ball in the strike zone to spots in the zone that can't be hit over the fence. Just keep it to the lower quadrant, to the outer third quadrant, and just make it to where even if they do get a hit, it's not leaving the yard. I think that's a big key for Tyler Glasnow, while also throwing strikes. So can Tyler Glasnow throw strikes like we saw Yamamoto do, while not throwing strikes that are so good that the Blue Jays are hitting home runs off of them? Because we've seen that they are very good at hitting home runs, especially 4 or 5 of their bigger dudes on velo that is 95 or above. I agree, history man. Freeman is due for a homer. Hey, let me actually put this link in the chat. Here's the link one more time. Come join the show just like Bruce Davis did, and we will get you on right there. There's the link right there. Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman should find their groove again as the series shifts to L.A. Hey, Larry Scott, let's go, Casey. Hope we can close in 5 minutes. Or in 5, that would be a very difficult ask, winning 3 games in a row, but let's hope that happens. That would be really cool to shut it down in Los Angeles, because the way that Toronto works, man, going back for game 6 in Toronto, even as good as the Dodgers pitching is, that would still be a very, very difficult task. Very scary. Okay, Chuck Huddleston, I thought Snell missed his spots frequently with his changeup. Yes, Lucy Chin, we really need to start hitting. I can't expect Glasnow, Snell, even Ohtani to pitch like Yamamoto. If we want to win the World Series, we need to outscore the Blue Jays. Hey, 100%. I think that starts with Freddie Freeman and Shohei Ohtani. Let me show you these stats again. That Freddie Freeman just 222 and a 740 OPS, which isn't terrible, but an on-base percentage isn't ridiculous. But if you take away, again, game 4 for Shohei Ohtani of the NLCS, he has been terrible offensively. Got to get those 2 guys going. Hey, the real 005, thank you so much for joining. They need to score more runs in game 3 as quick as possible, because Glasnow is not going to perform like Yamamoto. Okay? I don't think anybody can expect that to happen. And what a crowd we have logged in. Hey, 115 in the lobby. Make sure and hit that like button, and make sure and leave a comment in the regular button. And if you haven't done so to this point, make sure and hit that subscribe button too. Thank you so much for all the wonderful support. It's always overwhelming, humbling. It's a humbling experience whenever I see the incredible support that this channel gets. Rumar Spencer, what an awesome performance by Yamamoto. Second straight complete game. Will and Max came through with solos. It gave us a split heading home, a chance to potentially finish it at home. And like that, the Dodgers have home field advantage, right? A slim margin because you have to win 3 in a row. But, this was a topic we brought up at the beginning of the World Series before it started. Yes, the Blue Jays have home field advantage, but they don't actually have home field advantage unless it goes to 7 games. The 7th game is the first time that Toronto has more games at home than they do on the road. Now, if Toronto would have won the first 2 games at home, then, that they could have flipped that script and, maybe won the next 2 or whatever, or even, but really, just mathematically, almost in every scenario, you don't have actually home field advantage until you play that 7th game. So let's not give that home field advantage back, and let's win all 3 in LA, although that will be a very, very, very difficult task. Although Scherzer and Bieber, you would think, would set up better for the Blue Jays or for the Dodgers, other than you Savage and Gossman. But hey, man, one thing I said in the post game after game 1, this Dodgers team, it feels like whenever things set up perfectly, that's whenever I worry the most, and whenever things are just kind of helter-skelter, that's when I'm the most confident. That proved to be the case, and so who knows, man? But Shane Bieber and Scherzer, Grizzly veterans, they could easily come in and give incredible performances and give the Dodgers problems. Hey, we have Chuck Huddleston in the house. What's up, Chuck?
Not too much. I just thought I would just join up, and I've made most of my comments in the chat, but I mean, if you wanted me to make any comments about anything that I'd already said, I'd be happy to. Or if you got a question, which my opinion on anything, but I was devastated on Friday night, so I couldn't even join for a couple hours.
Well, what were your thoughts of, first of all, Blake Snell, then your thoughts of Yamamoto, the difference between those two?
I was worried about Snell from the beginning because, when he doesn't usually miss that much. You notice when he's missing with that fastball, he was missing by 1.5 feet, 2 feet. And he was missing with a lot of pitches. So I was a little concerned that, maybe he'll adjust. These guys always have an issue in the first inning, starters a lot of times. And I was going, man, he's missing so much. And then I noticed his changeups. He would usually spot that changeup just outside the strike zone or a half a ball in the strike zone. In his changeup, he was leaving them over the plate. And I was going, man, I don't know. Maybe, Snell's smart and he'll figure this out. But then Toronto's smart too, and they know what to look for, and they kind of took his power and turned it against him.
They did.
So
they did. Well, how about this? Let me stop you there, and let me get your thoughts on this. Tomatley, who, hey, you and Tomatley, 2 incredible baseball brains. So when I'm reading a comment from Tomatley and listening to you talk, it's like heaven for me because this is just awesome baseball talk. So Blake Snell had the 2nd most whiffs against Toronto this year of any pitcher this year back in August. So I can see why Snell tried to throw a lot of balls and tried to get chase and swing and miss from Toronto because he was able to do that against them back in August.
Yeah, and and that kind of works against because they make adjustments and stuff. Well, take last night's game. Gausman pitched backwards last night. The Dodgers, they went in and they should have been looking for the fastball all night and they were popping it up. But they couldn't get the splitter out of the back of their mind. They were,
yes.
Because you got to get yourself ready. If you're going to hit the fastball, you got to move the bat. But if you got the splitter, you got to look for it. So I think last night, now hindsight's 2020. Had the Dodgers looked for the fastball all night, Gausman would have changed his tack. But they kept looking for the splitter in the back of their mind. So you could see they were, they were always late. Even the guys that hit fastballs all day long were late. I kept saying this to my wife here. Man, he's late. He's late. Kiki's late. Otani's late. These guys, they're late. They're all late on these. That was telling me they're not just looking for the fastball. They're looking for that splitter is what I thought. Yeah. And I think Snell will make adjustments.
And if you sit off speed and you get fastball, you can't adjust. If you sit fastball, and you can adjust to something slower. You can't look slow and adjust to something faster.
Now you're dead if you do that. So I think the Blue Jays had a good approach last night because I think they pitched backwards. The Dodgers went in looking for the splitter because it's got a devastating.
And so did Yamamoto. There's another cat and mouse. You had 2 pitchers doing the same thing and doing it very well.
Yeah, and Yamamoto was on and he spotted his pitches. There's been a couple times there we thought Yamamoto would blow the doors off and he came out and he couldn't spot his pitches. All these guys have to spot their pitches. And Glasnow, tomorrow night, if he cannot get that breaking stuff in the spots that he wants it, he's going to be in trouble and they're going to get him out of the game. And we better hope there's somebody that can pitch long that can do the job. And and it's been disappointing to see what Sheehan's done because I don't know. I mean, was he giving up runs in 4 games in a row or something? And
Yeah.
I thought he would just come in and just, he's got to trust his stuff. And he looks like a beginning of an inning. He's got a starter's mentality that he needs to switch now because he's relieving. It's a different game. And I think he's going in with a starter's mentality in a way. And he's not, I don't know, it's kind of weird. I just expected more. I'm not really sure what to think about it,
Yep. So as far as the offense goes, I know we have a comment here from Douglas Anderson. Dodgers really need a good left-handed bat. Of course, we saw Ohtani get a hit. We saw Max Muncy hit the opposite field home run last night. But your thoughts on the Dodgers offense to this point?
Freddie looks like he's starting to swing a little better. Yeah. Baja's starting to have the approach you talked about. He's starting to go back to the approach he usually has. But so I think I'm encouraged. Now's the wrong time to set Baja's. Absolutely wrong time. Freddie swings looking better. Ohtani's got to drive. Ohtani's still got to go the other way until they start pitching him different.
Yes.
He's got to take that.
Exactly what Muncy did. That's why I said Ohtani needs to take a lesson from what Muncy did with that home run.
Oh, how many home runs has Muncy hit to left field in his career? Not many. And,
right.
He changed his approach and it paid off. One thing is after this season, I think the Dodgers need to go get 2 bats. They need 2 bats. I mean, we'll talk about that after it's over, but
specifically a left-handed bat, like Douglas is saying.
Oh yeah, they got to do it. But I expect the next 2 days, unless they really get full by Scherzer, they need to be smart and right away identify what Scherzer's doing. I mean, and because they can hit him, because I think his fastball is 94, 95 now at top. I think they can hit him, and then Bieber they should hit the next 2 days. If they don't hit,
Scherzer worries me just because of his career, man. He's a Hall of Fame type guy. Those type of guys, they never don't show up, it seems like, right?
Well, he's like Kershaw, though. He's got to get his balls in the spot. He's
great
got
point.
Pitch.
Great comp. Yeah,
he's got to pitch. He can't throw. He's got to pitch.
So do you see? Here's a great comment from Mixie Philks. Here's another problem. I could see Glass now struggling to execute as well as Toronto forces you to execute. The same thing you did to Blake Snell. Okay. And so who do you turn to in the pen? Let's say that Glass now goes 6 innings. Who covers the last 3? We know Rocky's going to cover 1. Do you just go to Roky and say, hey, finish this damn thing?
No, you know what I do? I don't have anybody go 3. I'm going to use Dreyer or Robo. Robo's, man, if he's on, he'll make him, I think he's got a big enough.
What about Trinan and tell Trinan just throw your sweeper for a strike?
You know what? If the thing is that worries me is that 3-batter rule with Trinan, because if he goes in, he could walk 3 batters in a row, but he hasn't recently. So I would trust Trinan. But
what about Kershaw and tell Kershaw just throw sliders and curveballs and just the 3 hitters? Just come in and let's say you throw 15 pitches, 14 of them are sliders and curveballs, and just make sure you throw strikes with them. What about that?
Nobody's hitting his curveball if it's on.
That's what I'm saying. So why not do that? The Yamamoto plan.
I wouldn't want to see a fastball.
Right.
Or at least not a fastball in the strike zone.
Yeah.
Or maybe a foot outside the strike zone.
Yeah,
Nothing.
Right. No. I'm just saying, okay, the way you beat Toronto, we've seen, is that you use movement and change the speeds. So you showcase a fastball out of the zone just to change eye levels, change the speeds for hitters. But then every strike you throw is either with a slider that's located well or a curveball thrown very well. We've seen that's actually how you beat the Blue Jays in these 2 games. And Kershaw, honestly, is one of the guys we have coming out of the pen that actually can do that.
Yeah, you know what? He could actually do if he didn't put anybody on, he could actually go 2+ innings. But I would walk Guerrero whenever he came by. I don't care what the heck. I would throw him anything. I tell you what, there might be some time depending on how big a lead you have. I'd walk Guerrero with the bases loaded
Damn right.
I wouldn't have any problem doing it.
Ethan Holiday, they walked him every time in the first round of the state tournament, and they walked him once with the bases loaded, just like you're talking about. It's better than him hitting a grand slam, no doubt.
He's on fire. You know what? He's a good hitter all the time, but right now he's extra hot. So he's hitting everything. When you get those guys, they're so confident. He can let the ball get up on him, and he's still going to hit it.
Okay, so how do we? The home runs are great. We hit 2 last night. I mean, you got to do it against great pitchers because it's hard to string 3 or 4 hits together. But like Mike's saying, we've got to get an offense going to where we can actually pass the baton, get guys on, get them over, get them in, and take a little bit of pressure off of the scoreboard. What do we need to do to get that game going, the scoring game without home runs?
We got to do what Toronto did on Friday night when, they went batter by batter when they had the bases loaded. We have trouble getting runs in with the bases loaded. We can't do like Pajas did, swinging at ball 4 and be swinging at pitches outside the strike zone. And we got to recognize pitches. We got to, when you see spin coming at the bottom of the strike zone, why are you swinging at it when you've got it? I just don't get that. And we got guys missing balls, but we pitch like Muncy the other night. He swung at a pitch 1.5 feet outside. I mean, that's making up your mind before the pitch comes that you're going to swing. You gotta be ready to adjust for what's coming and see. You got to recognize what where your hand is on the ball and where the ball's coming from.
Here's another thing, and I think this is the big key to beating the Blue Jays offense, is that they kind of grind, they foul off a million pitches, they put balls in play, they're scrappy, they frustrate you, and then they get you frustrated like they did Blake Snell, and then they hang up a big crooked number. They have somewhere along the 9 innings, they come up with one big inning, and they beat you with that one big inning. In baseball, if you actually research this, in most games, the team that wins will score more runs in one inning than the other team scores the entire game. That's an actual fact that happens more times than not. That's what the Blue Jays do is they frustrate you, they're pesky, they foul pitches, and then boom, they hit a big inning. And so what Yamamoto was able to do is he was able to stay away from the big innings because he retired the leadoff guy and because he was throwing strikes. So what does Glass now need to do to stay away from, and the rest of the pitchers for the Dodgers need to do to stay away from the big inning?
Well, they just got to cut it off. I mean, they can't just, once when you have a bad result from an at bat, then you got to have a better result for the next at bat. You can't sit there and be thinking about that last one. It's time to move on to the next one. If you think about it, let's say if there are 7 games, if you can throw out 7 number ones like the Dodgers have, you should win that all day long. But one thing about it is, I want to win this World Series. If we lose to the Blue Jays, I'll feel like we got beat by a good team.
I agree.
I won't feel like sometimes, like if we got beat by the Yankees, like, we're better than the Yankees. We
lost. They didn't win. We lost. We will feel like we got beat if this happens. I agree.
Exactly, and that's unusual.
And that's the amount of respect that you need to play your opponent with. That's not conceding anything. That's just showing the proper amount of respect for your opponent.
Well, it's like last night, though, when Muncy hit the home run. I mean, after Smith hit the home run, Muncy hit the home runs. In some ways, I think you said it, but it's kind of like I was thinking, well, on Toronto's side, they're not going to say, whoa, we don't want the Dodgers to wake up and actually be who they are, because we know that, look, we saw what Freddie did. We saw what Edmund did. We saw what these guys can do, and we got to pitch to what their potential is. I mean,
yes.
And we want them to, but they have to pitch to what damage those guys can do. And Pajas, he's been getting a pass, but they know what damage you can do. If we make them start pitching to what their potential is, then we're going to be a lot better. We're going to hit a lot better because they're going to make some mistakes then.
Okay, Pajas in or out?
Oh, he's got to be in because he's starting to hit a little bit. You can't sit him in. He's playing good defense. So, what did you think about Dean turning his glove the wrong way last night on that catch? That made me nervous.
Yeah, he didn't make me nervous at all. I've seen him make every which way catch. That
boy.
There was no nerves for me whatsoever. I was like, hey, go Big Papa, go catch that ball.
Oh, I was thinking it might clink off the thumb or something for a second, but it made
he doesn't
me
make me nervous at all.
Well,
From Division II, Lenore Ryan. Hey, you're a great baseball guy. You ever heard of Lenore Ryan? I hadn't, right?
No, I have not.
From Division II, Lenore Ryan, walk-on. Justin Dean was a walk-on at Division II, Lenore Ryan, from that to catching a ball in the World Series. How about that for a journey? That's incredible, isn't it?
That is incredible. I mean, that's unheard of. You almost.
I mean, even if he makes you nervous in center field, you got to be proud of that dude. Like, wow, what a journey.
Yeah, no. I'm really happy for him. And it's going to be interesting to see how things sort out later on. But some of these guys are going to earn jobs in other organizations.
Oh yeah. Hey, anything else, Chuck? Awesome chat, man.
Yeah, I'm looking forward. I want to win this World Series, and then I got a lot of ideas during the offseason to maybe to run by you.
Well, we'll have plenty of time on these live chat shows to cover all of the options as far as the Dodgers rebuilding their roster in the offseason. Austin's already gone and done a lot of work on that. So, hey, man, it's a great day to be a Dodger, Chuck. Yeah,
one thing before I go, I want to thank you and Austin and coaches and everybody. I just love your channel, and I watch a few of the others once in a while, but yours, everything, and it just it's just made for me for what, I love the minor leagues and I love the Dodgers, and it's just perfect for me. I just want to thank you because I know you guys put a lot of work and
we do
have a lot of
thank
pride
you.
in the family. I want to thank you for all you guys do.
So, Chuck, I'll say this. We do put in a hell of a lot of work. I mean, we put in a lot of work. So when people, not necessarily even in Super Chats like you so kindly did tonight, but just whenever you leave a comment, whenever you take the time to leave a comment and you take the time to say thank you, it means all the world to us. So, Chuck, thank you so much.
Yeah, and I purposely try to make sure I do that,
Hey, we've got Bruce in the house, too. Chuck, thanks, man.
All right, thank you. We'll talk to you later.
Encore for Bruce. What's up, dude?
Okay, I've got to ask this. I've been getting a lot of slack with the Kershaw stuff. Okay, so let's say we get a bunch of runs. I want to know 2 pitchers that you can count on right now, and that's it. Or let's make it 3, but 2 for sure that you can count on. I'm
Roki
taking Kershaw
Sasaki.
as one of them.
Roki Sasaki. Well, I'm looking at matchups like Emmett Sheehan. I think he's in the trust tree. But it was a bad matchup because what Emmett Sheehan does is he throws fastballs and sliders, and he throws them for strikes, and he bullies hitters inside the strike zone. Well, you're not going to bully Toronto inside the strike zone. So it's not that Emmett Sheehan's bad or he pitched bad. It's just that what he does well is also what Toronto does well, and they happen to do it better than he did. So it's not necessarily a great now. The next time that he faces off, he might do better at what he does than they do better at what they do. Who knows? But what he does well is also something that they do well as well. So it's not necessarily a great matchup for Emmett Sheehan. The best matchup is a guy that can change speeds and pitch backwards and locate and move the ball and throw strikes while doing it. So whenever I evaluate that out of our bullpen arms, the one guy I think that can actually do that the best at this moment is Clayton Kershaw.
Okay. That's it.
That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying they're going to do it, but I'm just saying from a matchup perspective, that makes sense to me.
I mean, again, I think Chuck and you already said it, slider, curveball. And if he's on with his curveball, nobody's hitting it. So,
yeah,
okay,
absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bruce. All right, man. Hey, Mixie Filks says, I'd give Roki 3 innings later. By the way, Chuck, incredible job. Incredible job, Bruce. Incredible job coming in and adding so much to the show. This is why I always say not the biggest crowd, best baseball crowd on absolutely the planet. Thank you so much. Hey, Mike M., I still have faith in Snell. He will learn from his last outing. Watch for it in Game 5. I will be absolutely fascinated to see the adjustments that Blake Snell makes for Game 5 and see if he doesn't make any adjustments and see if, hey, this is just what I do. This is what I am. I was able to do it to him against them in August, and I just think they had a good night and they were hot when I faced them. Screw it. I'm just going to be me. I think this time around, being me will beat them this time. I'm going to be fascinated to dig in and see that. Hey, Al Minerva, Yoshinobu was hitting his spots perfectly. My favorite pitch was the one when he hit Springer. History man 08-28. If the Dodgers offense by the way, I'll say this, beaning guys in baseball, it's age old. I don't have a problem with it. Baseball polices itself. As long as it's done in a way where you're pitching to safety, it's complete bullshit to throw anywhere basically above the stomach. I mean, shoulder area, head area, complete chicken shit. I don't care if the guy hitting is an 11-time felon and he slept with everybody's wife on the other team. I don't care. You don't throw above basically your belly button. You don't throw at guys shoulder high. You don't throw at guys head high. If you do that, obviously it's a mistake. And if you do throw intentionally at a guy up around the head and neck area, shoulder area, you are a chicken shit. So yes, the game of baseball polices itself. Yes, there are times to where hitting a guy, that's just part of baseball. That never is the case in the head, neck, and shoulder area, though. So that's what I'll say about that aspect. So if it does come down to something like that, keep it in the middle of the back. Keep it in the butt, right? Keep it in the back of the leg, something like that. But I will never, ever, 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 ever sign off or agree on something around the head, neck, or shoulder area. I don't care how much I dislike the hitter, right? So that's kind of where I think that's where probably everybody's at on that. CNAV, Gossman established a non-strike fastball that were called strikes in the early innings, made LA have to fish for that crap. And then also, give Alejandro Kirk, he did it again. He is elite at framing, especially framing the low pitch. And we said that one of the weapons with Gausman was going to throw that ball low. He gives up a ton of ground balls. And the part of that plan is that Kirk is an elite at framing that low pitch, and he gets strikes off of it. And that's just, I mean, it is complete BS. Umpires need to be better. Next year we'll have the challenge system. But now that we don't, that has been a part of the Toronto game plan, and specifically Kevin Gausman and Alejandro Kirk all year. Mike M. Yamamoto was up 0-2 on Springer and threw him a meat fastball right over the plate. Big double, yes. And I'll say this about Springer. I went off on him the other night. I got a little bit too emotional. Okay, great player. I'm not going to, hey, my hatred or dislike personally for the aspects of some of the things that he's done in the past, I can separate that from the player he has been and is. George Springer, period, is a great player that I greatly respect as a Dodgers fan. And when I say respect the type of player he is, okay? Hey, V-Track, great win, still not hitting. Totally agree. Larry Scott, we agree. Fill up the zone, change speeds, move the ball off your center line, and give that different perceived velocity. Mixie Phillips, Springer was hugging that plate like a teddy bear. It was a well-deserved hit by pitch, yes. Chuck Huddleston, unless the Dodgers are in a funk, they should swing the bats better in the next 2 days. Mike M., how many pitches does Glass now have? Mainly curveball, slider, the spike curveball, the slider, and the fastball, which, hey, that's enough. If you're able to move the ball enough and throw strikes, that will be plenty for Tyler Glass. Now, it will be down to execution. Can he throw strikes to spots of the strike zone that will not end up in home runs for Toronto, in spots where they can't hit home runs off of him? Hey, Mixie Phillips says Yamamoto is old school in many ways. Got to love it. Mike M., offense needs to pick it up. Can't count on the home run. Totally agree with that. Ryan R., when is Teo? Actually, yes, Jay, I agree. Chuck Huddleston brought A+ stuff tonight. Ray Guzman Jr., hey, that's a new name. Thank you so much for joining. Robleski and Klein did very well out of the bullpen. I agree. Time for tomorrow's show. I will have to, I don't know when that will be. Austin may come in right around 1 o'clock Pacific, but we will see. He will break down Shane Bieber, and we will go from there. O'Donnell boy, is this a case of the student has become the master with Popkins out coaching? Yes, RVS. Popkins, by the way, the hitting coach for Toronto, was trained in the Dodgers system. He was the Great Lakes Loons, the high affiliate of the Dodgers. He was their hitting coach in 2021, and if you remember that team for the Loons in 2021, they had Brandon Lewis and Andy Pajes and just a whole slew of guys. Yorbit Vivas, Eddie's Leonard, Carson Taylor. I believe they had James Outman on that team as well. That was a team that could flat stroke, and give Popkins a lot of credit for that. So he is a very good hitting coach. Wouldn't mind seeing him back in the Dodgers organization at some point. Bruce Davis, thank you so much for coming on. Hey, Al Minerva, all is well with our baseball family. Alex Bessia, yeah, the Dodgers are definitely missing him. Hey, CNAV says the channel is definitely growing. Please like and subscribe. Thank you so much. Hey, why do I think about Robert Suarez the moment you talk about beaming a batter? Casey, yeah, because he's wild and he doesn't, man, his ball turns right so much that it is wicked whenever he hits somebody. Hey, here's a new name. I play an expert. No, I've seen that name before. I play an expert on the interweb. Dude, one, it wasn't intentional. Two, Springer deserves worse. Okay, fine. I'm just stating what the rules and no rules against what my thoughts are as far as beating a guy. Wasn't intentional, was intentional. I mean, fine. I'm just saying no hit batsman should ever have to deal with getting hit up around the head, neck, or shoulder area, certainly if it's intentional. And if you're doing that intentionally, I can't ever agree. I'm not saying the Dodgers did, so I'm not quite sure where your comment's coming from, because in no way, shape, or form am I accusing the Dodgers of doing that. I just simply was going over, if you're one who thinks that the Dodgers should intentionally hit George Springer, I'm not terribly, I'm okay with that because baseball polices itself, but if that happens, it needs to be below the shoulders. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying anything was intentional. So, whatever. Alan Minerva, Alejandro stealing strikes, man, bad umps. Yeah, he does steal strikes. He does it a lot. And yes, the umpires do need to do better. But as Coach Holt says all the time, what now? You can't just sit around. You got to do something. You got to make an adjustment. You got to get past it and find a way to win. Hey, so some more likes, please. Yeah, no doubt. True. Ela Shiva's in the house. Thank you so much for Ela Shiva. Ryan R. Cheating has no place in sports, period. I get no respect on players who cheated before and still here, especially those that use steroids. That's the topic for an entirely different day. Bruce Davis, this is the best Dodgers show, my favorite. So, hey, it has been an absolutely awesome show. I have rambled on for a long time, and my Dodgers dogs, they are ready for their walk. If the gods of baseball exist, Al Minerva, Kershaw closes the World Series versus Springer striking out. That would be absolutely awesome theater there, wouldn't it, Ryan R? Kirk is really pesky at the plate. We want to see Edman start being Edman again. That would be great, too. And then also Freeman and Ohtani need to get going. Hey, Bruce says we need to support our pitchers. Why not let Kershaw? Yeah, definitely hit that like button. Racy Auto Parts, thank you so much for joining. Bases loaded, no outs, in a bad spot for a reliever in a World Series with a rabid, hostile stadium. Tough spot for Emmett Sheehan when he came in game one. Plus, he didn't even throw in the NLDS, and he had not thrown in a long time. So that's going to do it for me. What an incredible crowd we had tonight on Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Data Network. If you missed any of the first part of the show, go back and watch it. We went over all the differences between Blake Snell and Yamamoto, the things that Toronto did well against Snell, why they weren't able to do it against Yamamoto. We went over how Toronto does against velo, high velo, 95 or above, which they're going to see with Glasnow and Ohtani in the next two games. So if you missed any of that, go back and check it out. So, hey, thank you to Chuck for the wonderful super chat. Thank you to Chuck and Bruce for joining the show tonight. Thank you to all of you wonderful Dodgers dogs. You are the best, and as always, it's a great day to be a Dodger.